Hi, I'm Mark Wright, president of VIA San Francisco, here to talk to you about a revolutionary new shear called NXT. NXT, or Next, is the first neutral grip rotating shear. When you hold this shear in your hand is completely open and neutral the way it was intended to be, and the amount of thumb movement is dramatically less. So this is a super comfortable shear. NXT is also an extremely high performance shear with features from one end to the other that really belong on shears that are $500, $600, $700 a pair, and yet NXT is much more affordable than that. Now let's take a look at Allie for a second and watch what an NXT shear looks like in comparison with a traditional handled shear. As you can see, the NXT handle allows her to have the blades horizontal with her elbow all the way down. Now, if she wanted to make the opposing grip shear horizontal, she's going to have to elevate her elbow quite a bit, as you can see. And so that's, of course, one of the huge advantages of this handle design, is that ability to work with the elbow down. But let's also take a look at the difference in the thumb movement. You'll notice that she opens both blades to where she could cut all the way into the pivot, but when she goes to close the shear, you'll see that the Next will swing completely shut while the opposing grip shear remains more than half open. We figure that you have roughly between 50 and 70% less thumb movement with this shear, depending on what type of shear you've been used to using. And all that's before you really start talking about the rotating part of the shear. NXT is an advanced rotating handle shear, and let's take a look at some of the ways you can take advantage of that. Now here again is Allie, lined up to cut the bottom of the length on a haircut in a typical position that you'd be in with a fixed handled shear. Now you'll see that the rotating handle allows her to drop that elbow down and swing the thumb so that her thumb is parallel to the handle instead of perpendicular. It just makes it so much easier when you're working in the salon to be able to work with your elbow down like this. Here again, Allie is working on the length in another way, picking the hair up, and again, the elbow up versus the elbow down position made possible by the rotating handle. Layering on top of the head. Do you want to be in this position, or do you want to be able to drop your elbow down and layer like this? So much more comfortable. Slide cutting, do you want to look like this, or would you prefer to be able to drop your elbow down like this? And then, of course, Allie, being very adept at working with these shears, has developed a technique called sakasama, where she'll just drop the shear down, taking her finger out of the finger hole. She'll swing the shear down, reinsert her finger, and now she can cut in a downward direction very easily, and that's something she uses every day in the salon. So NXT is really a phenomenal shear, and it's a shear that again, as I mentioned before, is filled with high-end features that you'd expect to find on $600 or $700 shears. Now let's start by taking a look at the blade design. These are a convex edge. This is the sharpest, smoothest cutting kind of edge that you can get. It's better for blunt cutting because it's softer and smoother. It's better for slide cutting because it's sharper and therefore cuts through the hair easier. Beveled shears like this are just crude in comparison. It takes a lot more thumb pressure to close the shear on a section of hair, and forget about being able to slide cut with most beveled shears because they just pull and drag in the hair so much. So again, a beveled edge looks like this, where the blade comes down on one angle and then it drops off at a blunter angle. But it's that blunter angle that makes everything more difficult. So again, what you really want is a precision convex blade, and NXT is a true precision convex shear, and one that's going to allow you to take advantage of all the modern cutting techniques. For example, slide cutting and dry cutting. You really can do anything with a convex blade, and they stay sharp longer. Look at the crisp, clean cut that you get with a convex blade too. Just razor sharp and smooth. Here she combs down another section and goes back through and cleans that up as well. And again, you see how the hair doesn't move when she cuts it. It's super clean. How about slide cutting like this? I mean, it's just amazing to have a convex blade. Next also has a ball bearing flatline tension system. This tension system clicks when you turn it, really locks in the tension. It leaves the pivot of the shear very flush, and the pivot is actually swiveling on a sealed ring of ball bearings. So you get this very flush, streamlined design. And if you look at the back of the pivot area, you'll see that it's been lined with inlays of Teflon, which eliminate the metal-to-metal contact in the pivot, allowing the shear to work very smoothly over its life. Here's a great new feature. We've added a wide contact thumb ring to NXT for the first time ever. This ring is about double the width of a typical rotating shear, so it spreads the pressure out over a wider part of your thumb. Now, we wanted everyone to be able to feel the comfort of having that wide contact, so we've made 3 different size thumb rings for the shear that are packed with it. And in fact, there's even an extra large ring that can be ordered separately for people with very large thumbs. Now, NXT is a complete range of shears. They come in 5.5, 5 3/4, 6 1/4, and a long 6 3/4 inch size. So you've got the perfect size shear for any technique you want to use. We also make a fantastic Next blending thinning shear. This is a 40-tooth, razor-sharp, curved tooth, slide cutting thinning shear. Absolutely fantastic, great for removing weight, great for really any time that you would use a blending or a thinning shear. There's also a 20-tooth texturizing blade for creating soft, subtle texture in the hair. And again, these are razor sharp. You can cut and comb out. You can also slide cut with the shear by turning it into the hair shaft. So NXT is truly the next generation of high-quality shears from VIA. Molybdenum alloy steel, convex edges, ball-bearing, flush-mounted tension system, Teflon-lined pivots, a wide contact thumb with multiple sizing rings. With all those features, NXT ought to be a $600 shear, but it sells for about half that. And of course, that kind of value is what you've come to expect from VIA. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you really enjoy Next from VIA.